Hi everyone. Hi everyone. I just wait for everything else goes back live. Yeah, Instagram is back live as well. Basically, what I want to emphasize today, just talk about what to do when buying a used vehicle. As my goal and everyone else on the platform, or everyone else on the platform, is to make sure you actually buying a good used vehicle. And what people are always forgetting is to actually carry out their due diligence. And then what happens, most of you probably will know an outcome of it is you will buy the car with problems, or you'll buy the car which is not suitable for you, or you'll buy the car which you will regret because you haven't done your first of all your due diligence, which is a simple free solution, an MOT check. It's free. You can go on carxima.com/MOT check, or go on a government site and run it through. So as you know, where you will be looking for used vehicle is like anyone else, like me, like you, like my sister, like my mom. It will be more likely Auto Trader, Car Gurus, Motors, Facebook Marketplace, eBay, or Auto Trader and Gumtree, right? So the choice is not really a lot, but obviously you can divide those searches into categories where you can more likely will be running into the problems like eBay, Facebook Marketplace, and Gumtree, where you have to be super careful what you're doing and from who you're buying the vehicle. As currently, obviously, used car prices went up by 20% on some cars, right? Because of the shortage of the vehicles, and there's no natural cycle of new cars coming in and old cars going back. There are a lot of bangers out there, you know. So as just in comparison, there's only 35,000 vans on Auto Trader. There's 390,000 cars on Auto Trader. Then you got Car Gurus 150, Motors 250, and eBay around about 173,000, and Gumtree around 207,000. Obviously, most of those vehicles will be overlapping because sellers will be advertising the vehicles in some other platforms as well, you know, to get a better reach. But what your duty is, before you even considering to actually even inspecting this vehicle, is to do your own due diligence. And like I said, people failing and running into the problems because they simply don't check MOT histories. You know, that will be your first point of call before you even waste yourself a time calling the seller, or even going to look at the vehicle, or even considering that vehicle as an option. Like I said, first always do your MOT check. That's the most crucial thing. Then you can see, you will have your list of mileages, you will have a list of failures, you have a list of advisories, and if there are failures a lot and advisories for many things on every single year on year, it's just a little identifier for anyone. Keep logical sequences and just cross vehicles out. Even if you're buying on eBay, Facebook Marketplace, or Gumtree, you know, these are the things. This is the first step we need to do. You just keep going through the MOT checks until you will find a clean car, you know, where you can see somebody has actually looked after the particular vehicle. obviously, if you would not do this, then you can only blame yourself. Even if you will be buying a car, something super cheap, right, for £1,000, and if you will not do this, again, you can just blame yourself. Then you will be wasting time. Possibly, if you have enough balls to take legal action or keep calling the seller if it's a trade, to deal with the problems afterwards because you failed miserably, right? And I don't even talk about used car inspection, what we do and how we can save you money when you're actually buying a used vehicle. So that is the last thing. My main goal is to make sure you know what to do. And if you will not do this, then you will keep buying yourself problems, drives the problems, or drives the poor vehicle, which you feel sorry or might be even embarrassed when you will just simply decide on your own, you will go and just purchase this vehicle. Yeah. Moving away from buying the vehicle, for search and moving into considering actually vehicle, call actually the seller. I would recommend you, again, if you are one of the people who are looking on a Facebook marketplace or eBay or Gumtree, these are the places where, the sellers will always say there's nothing wrong with the vehicle. The vehicle is in a good condition, and that's the worst lie you can actually hear, because this is what you actually want to hear. The car is in a good condition, but it never is. All right, and you fall in a trap. Of thinking, yeah, that's a good car, and that's why you have to be careful. Research who is the seller. Like I said, if you're buying from these places like Facebook, Gumtree, or eBay, research who is the seller. If it's an eBay, you can see the trading history for that seller. If it's a Facebook, check out the person's profile. Is that how long the person has been on a Facebook itself? Check out the pictures, what they're posting. If they're posting loads of rubbish, you're not going to get yourself you're not going to get somebody trustful. Maybe it's a new account, or maybe somebody, some traders who are just selling cars from home. Because the main priority for you is actually to find somebody trustful where you cannot be scammed with the car clones, with fake V5Cs, etc., or somebody who pretends he has actually the right to sell the vehicle, where actually he doesn't. He doesn't have a proof of purchase, which would be the invoice, not V5C. So you need to find research the person you can actually trust as well. So it's not just about the vehicle, so buying a car is a cycle. And anyone who actually been in the market for used car or are in the market for used car will probably understand it's not as easy as it sounds to buy the car, because there's many steps in the process, and you can be burnt very easily. It's whether it's a dodgy seller, it's whether it's a dodgy car, whether the vehicle has a dodgy MOT history, which could be just simply a piece of shit, in anyone's language, which doesn't need too much of description of why, So considering everything what I just said, make sure the seller is trustful, make sure the MOT history is clean before even you're wasting your time. Then you can actually phone the seller and start asking, obviously, the relevant questions what you want to hear. When the vehicle has been last time serviced, it's important. Otherwise, you will have to pay £200 for servicing. Ask for full service history if you can, and if they can back it up with invoices, etc., etc. How long did they have this vehicle? If you haven't done careful history check, so when the timing belt has been replaced and why they're actually selling the vehicle, just listen to their story, ask the questions and listen to what they say, and probably write certain things down so you remember, and the last thing you can do actually, then you can arrange to go and view the vehicle. Well, you also have to remember, pictures of the vehicle, they always look, the car always looks much better in pictures than it's in a real time. Most of the traders will use Photoshops to enhance the vehicle's looks, and once you actually arrive to the vehicle, it's just shocking. The panels colors not matching, loads of scratches, which would be below average or just an average vehicle, etc., etc. And then you can just be again disappointed and be ready. Just be ready to be disappointed instead of having very high expectations about a vehicle. Because some of the vehicle, the state you arrive in is completely dead. It's not even. It doesn't even have a sales look, right? And it's just disappointing. So as for you, so as when we go out and inspecting vehicles, because if the seller would simply would describe the vehicle as it is, but most of the cases, again, coming back, all of those vehicles on eBay, Gumtree, Facebook, Marketplace, all of them are misdescribed. It's very rarely somebody will describe the vehicle correctly, but everyone wants some sort of obviously they want to sell the vehicle, but they're not described, so just bear that in mind. And once you obviously, if you decide to actually go and see the vehicle, just make sure you do the best ability you can to check the vehicle. Otherwise, you will just shoot yourself in the foot, and again, you will regret buying this vehicle, and that will haunt you for quite some time. And then if you're going to buy a shit vehicle, what are you going to do? You will have to sell it to somebody else. You know what I mean? You will have to pass the same mistake, not telling the problems to somebody else, and it's a cycle, So as the trade is lying, private sellers are lying, and then you will be lying because you will have to get rid of this vehicle. And another thing what I want to say, it doesn't matter from who you're buying the vehicle, right? Whether it's a Facebook, eBay, or Auto Trader or the main dealer, all of them are in the same boat because there are shortages, right? That means we checking vehicles at the main dealers, smaller dealers, private sellers, every one of them has one thing in common. They misdescribe the vehicles, and especially shocking thing is like Mercedes dealerships selling vans. There's only 35,000 vans available on the market on eBay. I mean, not eBay, on Auto Trader, right? So what happens in a trade? Everyone buying loads of shit, right? They don't check service history, even if it has. So the Mercedes, for instance, I checked 2 vans there, and they're a shocking condition, even the mileage is not really that high, but the state of the vans is just, all of them don't have Mercedes service history. That's the one thing, when you're buying from dealership, make sure any vehicle has a Mercedes dealership's history. If it doesn't, just don't even waste your time. Just go then buy from the smaller seller, because the average market price will be the same or even slightly cheaper. Because what's the point paying like main dealer the price for the vehicle if that vehicle doesn't have a main dealer service history? They're buying from auctions like everyone else, like BCA, Mayhem, some other 3Ms, and some they are Barclay. There are many auctions actually. When you start looking, those are the ones I mentioned. They are most biggest ones probably, are more likely, and then also there are smaller auctions, and everyone buys them from wherever they can get their hands on the vehicles. As there is not much, as like I said, there's not there is not that routine which was there before, prior to COVID, because it's a recession. Technically, no one makes anything, no one makes the chips, no one does anything, no one makes certain things for the parts for the vehicles. Because why? Because everyone be told to stay at home, and it's just a knock-on effect, right? And now it will affect obviously everyone. Doesn't matter which trade you are, everyone has been affected. Is that so? The standard process of changeovers, the way the vehicles are swapped over, are disrupted. So that means everyone gets everyone gets the hands on anything they can actually possibly get in a market, and as a consequence, you, the consumer, will be the ones who will suffer, because the cars are bad, they're not checked, they're not fixed, even they have some sort of history from lease companies, right? All of the 80% of the vans are just bag of shit, because they've been. Well, you can see who drives these vans yourself outside the window when somebody DPD pulls up, Amazon pulls up, Sainsbury's, Tesco's, you name any other delivery companies. 80% of these vehicles are just run to the halt. They have excessive wear and tear issues, starting from tires to interior to steering components and suspension parts. More or less not that much on an engine, but on everything else you can just expect excessive super wear and tear. And as you buy it for yourself, for your personal use, obviously you would not like it, because you want something in good quality, you presentable, where you look at it and you like it, and you touch it, it's pleasant and it's clean, and it has a nice vibe to it, and then you can actually, because if you like something, you will buy it, right? So you can take that out of equations regards to the vans. Same thing with the cars. As the car prices goes up, the people who buy the cars, the car sellers, they have to pay more for the vehicles. That means they will have less margins to actually somehow rectify this particular vehicle. If they will buy from wrong auction place, or even sometimes all the auction approved sort of vehicles, they are kind of approved where they are misdescribed again, and they fall into the trap and buying this vehicle, and then they didn't expect that, say, to respray some panel on a vehicle. They didn't expect to do that, and then again they have to do it, or they might clutch needs a replacement, and they don't have any margin, and they will obviously cut the costs, expenses on the vehicle. And then again, if you're not doing your thing and you just going randomly without putting too much of attention in what you're buying, you'll buy yourself problems. And if you're gonna buy yourself problems, if you thought after you get yourself into the problems, right, you will spend, I guarantee you, months dealing with issues, because you're just being stingy. You might didn't thought about car inspection, and you're thinking, I'm not going to spend on inspection £170. Why would I? Or why would I have to spend £126 on an inspection? I will just go and buy it. You can do it, but like I said, you will have your problems. We save people on average between £1,000 and £2,000 on repair bills, right? But what benefit it gives you? Because if you're buying from the trader, the 90% of the times that vehicle will be rectified before you will collect this vehicle. If you will decide to go ahead and purchasing this vehicle, or from the private seller, at least you can negotiate the price because you have facts, right? If you don't have facts and you're acting blindly, like 90% of the people who will call the seller on a first conversation, what they're going to do, if the car is 10 grand, what you're going to do, you're going to say, what is your last price? Will you accept 9.5? That's the wrong strategy how to buy a vehicle, or you can tell them, look, I'm giving you, if you're somebody who's just buying and selling, flipping. I'm gonna pay 7 grand. What are you gonna pay 7 grand for? You don't even know what condition the vehicle is, right? And then, no one will ever give you a discount that's in that silly and, and that's and now say in that bland conversation, it's just a bland negotiation. You can't even negotiate if you haven't seen the vehicle. If you don't know the vehicle's problems or some sort of formal history of the servicing and the way it drives, the way it feels, if there are any issues, engine management system issues or any other subsystem issues, how can you possibly negotiate? How can you even offer the price? Yes, you can do, on a car, you can get a valuation data, right? You get a valuation data. Valuation data is based on depreciation. It doesn't really mean anything too much. What it means is the vehicle's overall condition. That is the benchmark, technically, for us, right? Now, because the valuation will be based on the mileage, on a service history. Mostly, that will be generally is based on a mileage, yes, service history, both keys, etc. A clean car would be both keys, very good service history, and low mileage, and that will give you obviously the car will be more expensive because it will be more valuable than other vehicles, right, in the same category. But that is one way. But then is the real life scenario where valuation is one thing, and when you check the vehicle and there's so many things not done, then you are out of pocket. That's a real-time valuation. If that vehicle, after the inspection, with overall condition, is it in a reasonable condition for the age and mileage, and if all the maintenance follow-up work has been carried out, or is it carried out when they pass it on to you, or passing on this vehicle to you, and how much it would cost you to rectify. So all these, it's I could probably talk about and give you examples for a long time. It's just that this market is crazy, and only one thing I can tell you: when you're buying a used car, never trust the seller, because they will always say there's nothing wrong with the vehicle. And whoever is persistent saying this, you don't need the inspection. It's a waste of money. Probably in his eyes it is, because he's hiding something. Inspection gives you peace of mind, and it gives you all the information you need, potential repair costs, an overall estimate about a vehicle. Is it in a good condition? What the seller is actually asking, and it gives you the leverage. Then when you're negotiating, or tell them, look, I want these items to be rectified to make it fair. Sometimes the inspector will even say, look, it's fair. The condition is fair because the age of the mileage and the price. Once you do a feedback call with the inspector and talking about the price itself, it will say, look, it's fair. You can't really ask anything more to be. I know, let's say there's a disc need replacing or pads need replacing, but if the car price is already good, it would be unfair. They would not do it. You have to look on a overall picture. How good is the vehicle? The paintwork interior, electrical system, the way it drives, the way it handles, the way it feels, and how good are those maintenance items like tires, disc, and pads, and a servicing, because most of the simplest maintenance items will rocket up to £1,000 easily. I'm not even talking about latent issues, problems, vibrations, and faults, physical faults, visual faults, or I'm not even talking about subsystem issues, which when you do diagnostic scans, when the inspector does diagnostic scans twice before rotors and after rotors, there could be different. The outcome could be scary sometimes, So when buying a car, make sure you do your research. Do start with MOT. Don't waste your time. Scan all the vehicles, even wherever you buy on eBay, Gumtree, Facebook Marketplace. From those, just scan it through MOT and just keep skipping the vehicles. It has many issues, rusts, corrosions, leaks, any leaks, etc. Until you find a clean car, and then as well, be careful. Who is the seller? Does the seller have permission to sell the car? Does it have proof of purchase? Does it have V5C on his name, etc.? Always ask to show ID, so obviously you can write down the sales agreement, right? From the trade, it will be easier, but I'm talking about more emphasize that when you're buying privately, right? That's what you need to do, and always check VIN numbers if they're matching on a logbook and on the vehicle. At least check on 2-3 places if you can, so you don't buy a clone car. When you look at the V5C, check it under the shade of light, so you can see there's watermarks there. Always try to buy the car from the location where the logbook is registered. Ask, like I said, ask proof of purchases. So to make sure you do your diligence as much as you can, do a full service history. Do a car full history check. Make sure it doesn't have any finance. Again, if you buy a car with the finance, it will be your liability. Or if the bailiffs will looking for the car, they will just simply seize the car, and you will lose your money, and it will go to somebody else, and that's it. There's nothing you can do. You haven't done your due diligence, right? So again, maybe the guy's insurance write-off. Trade have to tell you legally it's against the law for them not to disclose information. Private seller don't have to. And if you're going to buy a car, assuming it is haven't been involved in an accident, it can be, but if the insurance is involved and it's written off, there will be category given. And that again, you can find in a full car history check. So that's why it's important to do those things. Don't just assume. If you're going to continue assuming, you'll keep buying shit cars, right? And it's not the shit car the problem. You are the problem because you made that stupid decision where you could have avoided it. Then don't blame anyone else. It's your fault. For any issues, car history check, you can get it free on Car Examiner. Full car history checks are available on carexaminer.com as well. You can also do now. Another thing is ULEZ. You have to pay ultra low emission zone entering in the London. As the ultra low emission zone is expanding, again, that's another thing which you need to check if you will be affected, or if you're planning to drive into ULEZ zones. Some of the other cities coming up is that like Birmingham, Manchester, I think Liverpool, Bristol. There are many places talking about this issue, so that be wary. So when you're buying now, we make sure it's Euro 6. How to check that? You can go on carexaminer.com, emission check. It's free. You can check it. Like I said, if you need help, we're here. One click away. You can go on a chat box, just ask the question, or you can just give us a call. And we're protecting you from expensive mistakes. That's what we do. But when you're buying a car, make sure our mission is to make sure you buying a good vehicle, and we don't want you to be scammed. So to make sure protect yourself, and you can be on something decent, possibly. Get somebody to check the car or book an inspection on carexaminer.com. And if you have any questions, just put some comments in. If you like what we do, check out our videos. I'm going live on through several platforms. You can, at one day you will need help, just give us a follow, click subscribe, or on YouTube, or if you're watching on Instagram, just click follow. Follow on Facebook, and if you're on a TikTok, then just give us a follow there as well. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. Be safe.